Welcome SRA Nation, welcome to Sim Racing Alliance GT3 Main Series Season 16.
It's gonna be a wonderful race here tonight. We got some great action here.
He's gonna look on the inside. He's gonna dive. There's a Mercedes. Oh no!
I mean, these two drivers side by side, it's not going to be, it's exactly what you want to see behind you. Spins his wheels, and that's going to be prime time attacking opportunity.
Oh, and he's gonna try to stick it inside.
Oh, no contact. Oh my god!
And we're off and away for SRA. Hello SRA Nation and welcome back to Division 5 Season 17 of the Sim Racing Alliance. We are here for a fun time. It's going to be a great time. We're at Imola for round 5. We are over halfway through this season, so it's going to be fun. My name is Trey Morgan. Unfortunately, I am solo in the booth tonight. Sean, who had been with me the last couple races, unfortunately decided that his dad was more important than us watching racing together, so he's off taking care of stuff so that he can race tomorrow. So I won't hold it against him, but I'll hold it against him. But either way, we're gonna have a fun time here in the booth with me and all of those in the comments, whoever that happens to be. It should be good, but it should be a good amount of fun tonight. Yeah, so like I said, we are at Imola, but we are halfway through this season. So we have done Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Barcelona. We have gotten through the promotion period, so everyone that was racing last week at Zolder is the same exact people that we're going to have racing here at Imola. Maybe with some more faces though, because last week was probably the hardest race of the season in my mind. So maybe some of the people who missed last race will come back this race, especially last week where our top two people in the championship last week weren't in the race, and that was Brad Bertram and Brad Morath. So we'll have to see how that goes. But like I said, we're at Imola. We are continuing our walk through Europe. Yeah, so Imola is a very fun track in my mind. It's one of the best hot lapping tracks. It's got a whole bunch of super fun corners. The issue is that it's kind of like Zolder in that there's a whole bunch of chicanes. Last week, some of the commentators were calling, in the upper divisions, were calling the Zolder chicanes the RNG chicanes. And some of these are also like that. Like for turn 2, 3, and 4, which is technically turn 1, 2, and 3, because, again, this is a weird track where they do their corners. But for turns 2, 3, and 4, for turn 2, the first of 1, 2, 3 chicane, it's fairly easy to take a whole bunch of curb on, but for turn 3, you really can't take much curb on unless you're the Mustang, really. And then turn 4, you again can't take too much curbing, not because it'll bounce you, but more because it will just it'll just invalidate your lap. So you really have to be on the edge with how much curbing you can take there for that first chicane. And then we have the second chicane of turn 5 and 6. That one's a fairly easy one to take, but turn 6 also has a really bumpy inside curb if you don't take it right, and we'll show you that once we get on track. But then that is sector 1 essentially. It's a whole bunch of straights and a whole bunch of chicanes. Sector 2 starts out with a hairpin, a really short hairpin, and it's a lot slower than you might expect even for the most normal hairpins, because it's not like you get a really nice acceleration zone out of it. It is uphill all the way through turns 8 and 9, and like I said, turn 8, not really a turn, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so that'll be a really important acceleration zone for our drivers. It'll be a little bit easier for some of the cars who maybe have more power than others, because obviously more power means more speed, but also a lot more weight gets shifted to the back tires because you're going uphill, so maybe not quite as much fishtailing as you'd be used to seeing. But then we have a hard braking zone into turn 9 to set up turns 10, and then we get into Aqua Minerale, turns 11, 12, and 13. 12 and 13 is another chicane, but you don't really think about it as such because it's not, you don't take it like a chicane. You're like half braking from 11 all the way to 12, and then you're powering back up the hill to turn 14 and 15. And turn 15 is really where the RNG chicane kind of comes into play, because there's so much curbing there that if you take it without bouncing over the curbs, you're going to be like you're going to lose about half a second on the fastest lap. And if you do take all of the curbing but you take it wrong, you will again lose another second to 20 seconds, depending on who's right behind you and how far you spin, because I have done full donuts coming off of that curve, and it's not fun. After that, we have turns 16, 17, and 18. 16, not really a corner in my mind, but it's there. Turns 17 and 18 are both 90-degree corners, but they're off. But turn 17 is off camber. You're coming down a hill and then turning left, so it's a little bit slower than you might imagine, but still a lot of fun. And then turn 18 is probably the most important corner of the track to get right, because the run from turn 18 all the way down back to turn 2 is really the only overtaking point at this track. So we'll have to see where it all comes together, you know, because some drivers aren't going to be able to take turn 18 well, and so they won't be able to overtake anybody, much less other people overtaking them. So really, that's really the only overtaking point, as long as like no one makes any massive mistakes. Now you can technically overtake in between turn 4 and 5 or turns 15 and 17, but it really depends on you getting a perfect exit from the corner before and your opponent getting a absolutely horrible exit from the corner before. So we'll have to see how that all pans out. But that all does really make the qualification time super important. But yeah, so there's that. And then also, last thing before we go into the standings, the pit lane here is very short in where its entrance is. You have to brake before the pit entry marker in order to actually make sure that you stop in time for the pit limiter. And I will show that once we get to the race, but for right now, we're going to go look at the driver standings. So I've been talking about how Dick Zipperburn Sr. has had some unfortunate races with people running into him, but he's been really consistent over the last couple races, and that has allowed him to get to P1 in the championship overall. Very nice job there from him. Although not too far behind, we have a tie for second place with Stefan Pellerin and Alan Leung, both at 213 points, only 15 points back from Zipperburn Sr. So they've both been doing really good, maybe not quite the highs that we've seen. Stefan Pellerin was our P2 sitter, if I remember correctly, from our last race. I should have pulled that up. So I'll make sure to look at that here in a minute. Daniel Beckstead doing really nice there in P4, only 4 points ahead of Brad Morath. Brad Morath is one of the drivers who didn't show up for last week. Brad Morath and Brad Bertram were both P1 and P2 and fairly close on points coming into last week's race, but I'm not sure if they weren't able to make it or they just decided to use that as their drop race, but they missed that race for whatever reason. So that's why they are now down in P5 and P10 respectively. Looking at the Silver Championship, Quinn Jetter is currently our P1 Silver sitter, P15 overall with 150 points. With Alejandro Guarin in P2, Kyle Boyes in P3, Denny Savard in P4, and Jason Yu in P5. And unfortunately, Kyle Boyes, who is currently in the chat here, is not able to race today. I don't remember why, but he is using this as his drop race. I know that there are a couple of people sick in other divisions. I don't think that's the case here, but either way, he's going to be a little bit behind. I think he still has a good amount of drop points, if I'm looking at this correctly. No, he does not have any drop points, so a little iffy in how and if he'll be able to fight for this championship going forward. But either way, it should be fun. And there's a lot of drivers who are super fast today. So looking at the leaderboard, Daniel Builes is currently fastest overall with a 141.9 in the practice standings, and I believe that's about a D4 time, if I'm not mistaken. Since this was a weird race where we didn't know what weather it was, we don't have reference time, so I can't really tell where that would be, but that's about where I think it would be. Joey Van Winkle is second overall with a 42.4 overall, and then Danny Scarborough looking fast, as well as Stefan Pellerin are one of our better finishers from last week's race. Kyle Boyes saying he's out for the season now, so that is really unfortunate. Yeah. Either way, unfortunate. I won't talk about it any further. But yeah, so team standings now. P1, top of the bell curve racing between Brad Morath and Dick Zipperburn Sr. with 430 points. they have an absolutely commanding lead over P2, which is TC8 Racing Team 1, Alejandro Guarin and Ian Gilchrist. They've both done fairly decent, no super finishes if I remember correctly, but they've definitely not done bad. P3 overall is high on PSI with Joshua Hooker and Danny Scarborough. Scarborough's done fairly decently in a couple races, but again, no big finishes. Shane Sullivan and Joey Van Winkle both doing very well there in P4 for 617 Racing. And then to round out the top 5, we have Baguette's Racing Team with Matthew Bowden and Clemente Laurier. Excuse me. Other than our P1 team and top of the bell curve racing, there's really not that big a split between our drivers. There's not even 100 points between P2 and P8. Actually, no, it's exactly 100 points. And P8 is a one-team driver as well as P7. So a lot of drivers looking to do very well here. But yeah. Also, I don't know if they're watching, but Brad Bertram and Bruce Hopkins, I don't know if it's too late for you guys to combine teams, but I know that I have been told to combine teams whenever I had other people not like leave my team, because I think Brad Bertram's teammate got promoted, but I could be wrong on that. So maybe talk to the admins there to get your points up, because that would get you up into P1 overall, I think, or P2 overall. What's 16 times 2 is 32. So yeah, you guys would be about at around 330 points. So P2 overall. So maybe you can get that done, maybe not, but I knew. Our drivers are getting out onto the track now, I believe, for our silver qualifying. So I will go ahead and bring that up. So yeah, so this is Dick Zipper Sr., our current P1 finisher. I'm currently trying to figure out who is first on track, and I believe that is... well, that's interesting. So this is Gray. I'm assuming they're not looking this wrong, actually. I'm going to go to somebody else. Okay, so that was definitely interesting. I will give it that. I don't know why Gray is that bumpy. I'm going to hope that it doesn't continue like that for the rest of the thing. I'm going to go to him now. Yeah, that's... ugh. I don't know what's happening. I'm going to hope that they are able to rejoin, because that's just not fun. Yeah, I'm going to bump off of them, because that looks absolutely terrible. So hopefully he's able to do fine. Anyway, so yeah, so Gray kind of ping-ponging there, so we'll hope he turns out better. But anyway, we are going to start off with Jetter here. Jetter is our first in line who's not ping-ponging all over the place, I guess is what I'll call it. So we will go ahead and see what happens with Jetter. So he's coming down to the first actual corner, maybe a little bit narrow coming into the corner, but he's able to keep it straight, so no big issues there. So he's through the first corner set without any issues. I believe still on a valid lap, but I could be wrong on that. Coming through the second chicane, looking very tidy through there. Maybe kept going a little bit wider, but you definitely want a valid lap on the first lap. So I will not besmirch him of that. A good job coming through the chicane to not fishtail. Now, obviously, of course, the Ferrari doesn't have the same amount of torque that most of the other cars do, but still a very nice job to keep it stable. And unfortunately, I do think that's an invalidation there coming through turn... what turn is that? I don't know, but we're coming through Aqua Minerale now. A nice job to go through Aqua Minerale, but not valid, I don't believe, but we'll continue to watch this lap just to see what it would be if he were to come across the line. Very nice job keeping it tidy through the third chicane, or fourth chicane, whatever you want to call it, the RNG chicane. As I was talking about, you have to keep it bouncy through, you want to keep it as little bounce as possible, but, you know, it is what it is. So, Jetter coming through the final corner now. He's going to come across the line here in just a moment. I don't believe he's valid, but I will tell you what his qualifying time was once he comes across the line here in just a moment. Yeah, so that is invalid. It was a 1:47.9, so definitely still a lot of time to find in these laps. We do have a couple valid laps though. Savard goes provisional P1 with a 1:47.6, and then I believe this is Bruce McLaren. Bruce McLaren, I was right. Comes across the line with a 1:47.7, so not that too far behind, and also in a very nice looking McLaren livery. I don't think this is one of the default liveries, but it is very cool. I will not deny that. So a very nice job there with that livery. And then behind him is Savard, who I thought I'd got my livery working with him, but apparently not. So yeah, unfortunate there. We have a yellow flag for Jetter. I missed what happened here, so I'm going to see if I can pick it up. Looks like he's going fine at this point. Hopefully my replay doesn't end before we get to the part where he has issues. I don't think we will, but we'll have to see. Okay, so he just goes straight on there. Not entirely sure what happened there, unfortunately, but that is what happened. Also, Savard has a yellow flag. I believe they're just getting out of the way. No, they unfortunately spun around, and then Bruce McLaren is also into the pits. So only a few drivers actually out on track. One of those drivers is Builes, though, currently on a valid lap. I don't think they have a valid lap yet, but this should be one. He's going to come across the line here in just a moment. It's just here right in front of this turn here, and he goes provisional pole with a 1:44.1. So very nice banker lap, about 3 seconds faster than anyone else so far, and especially as a silver driver, he's doing a good job there. Yeah, so I don't know who I clicked on. I don't know what happened there. Sorry, I was trying to read the comments here, so that's why I went a little quiet, and then all of a sudden I clicked on the wrong car. But anyway, we're gonna watch Builes here as he goes through I guess the second half of the lap now that I've missed the first third or so. You can hear that tire squeal going through, I believe that's turn 9 and 10. Now through Aqua Minerale, probably the hardest corner on the circuit to get right consistently, in my mind. It's a tie between that and the next chicane that he's going to come across. I think Aqua Minerale is harder to get right, but this one is easier to get wrong. Or maybe the other way around, I don't know. But either way, he's still on a valid lap. He's up by about 4/10 on his previous best lap, so he's looking to improve here, and his delta is going down. So as long as he gets this last corner right, and it looks like he does, very nice job getting on the power. Coming through the final corner now. And he will improve his time by about 5/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second, up to a 1:43.445. So very nice job. Still about 2 seconds off his best overall time of a 1:41.9. And he's now, well, he was side by side with one of the other drivers, but not anymore. So Jetter is currently on another lap, I think. I don't know if he's on another lap or if he's just running right now. But he is back out onto the track to try and set a better lap. Not many people improving right now. Savard is improving. Also, Alejandro Guarin, I missed that, but he came across the line with a 1:44.1, so provisional P2 in silver. Builes is improving by about 0.8 of a second, but I'm going to wait until he gets closer to the end of the lap to come to him. Savard, though, is up by about 0.7 of a second. Switch to camera 2 here. Little bit too much curve there on the inside, but he gets a better exit, so it doesn't matter too much. Now coming through Aqua Minerale. Very nice job to slow down the car. Gets just enough curve there on the inside to keep it stable, and he's improving by a good amount here, coming up to the last chicane of the track. I know there's a corner name for this, but I don't remember what it is. And you can see how much curbing he's having to take there. Doesn't take as much as he maybe could on that inside curve, but still does a very nice job to take it. I don't know if anyone knows the picture that I'm talking about, but at some point during, I believe it was 2021, whenever F1 was here, one of the Ferraris took that curbing so aggressively that they actually got all 4 tires off the ground. Savard coming onto the final straight here with about a 2-second improvement that will put him up to provisional P3. He still has a lot of time to gain before he can get to Builes, who improved his time to a 1:42.6. Savard pulling off to the side. I believe he's out of fuel. He does technically have time to start a new lap, but not anymore as he returns to the pits. So all of our drivers are now on their final laps. Silver qualifying ends at 10:30. You just have to finish your lap, and now I believe car number 280. Oh no, Builes, that is an invalidation. They're going way wide into Aqua Minerale. He will have a chance to practice pit entry if he wants to, but no, he's going to pull off to the side. Okay, so Jason Yu, I believe it's Jason Yu. Yes, Jason Yu, I remember that correctly. He's going to come around the last 2 corners to try and set a valid lap. He does not have one yet. Coming through the final straight now, going to get to that Marshall's box there, up there, and he will set a time of 1:51.2. Not the greatest, but it is still a lap, so we can't complain too much. He's doing better than some drivers might be. Alejandro Guarin is currently coming through the last set of chicanes now. Not taking much curb. He's taking a lot of curb on the inside there, and that can gain you a lot of time if you take it correctly, but I don't believe he did, as he's losing about 0.2 of a second there on that corner exit. Coming now down to the final 2 left-handers, 90 degrees each of them, doing a very nice job to keep it steady, maybe not getting on throttle quite as early as he could. But he will still improve by about 0.4 of a second. That won't improve his overall position, but we've only had 7 out of the 20 or so drivers qualify, so hopefully they will be able to improve that position once they get into the race. Also, I will mention that Gray is thankfully back. He has a lap time of a 1:45.1, which is fairly decent. It's about mid-pack for Silver. Hopefully he's able to fix his internet issues. I believe he has, but we will have to see. But now our Silver drivers are out on track, and the first driver out on track is Sullivan, Shane Sullivan. So we're going to quickly go on board here for this. So we are going past the start-finish line now, and we are going all the way down to turn 1. Well, sorry, braking zone 1, turn 2. So turn 2 is a left-right-left chicane. You can take a lot of curbing there at the first part of the chicane, but everywhere else you kind of have to be iffy. Not the most aggressive way to take that corner, but still a good way to take it because you're stable. Very nice job to take just about all the exit you can there for turn 6. Now coming into the hairpin of turn 7, braking a little bit too deep into that corner, so he will lose time there, but he still gets on the power at about the right time going up the hill. Next we have the hard braking zone of turn 9. It's very hard to get that braking zone right, and I believe he may have invalidated, but it's still showing me as valid, so I will hope that it is. And now into Aqua Minerale. It's very hard to find the right braking zone because it's very different, basically depending on the lap, because you're only about half braking to make sure that you don't lose the rear end going through that corner. But now we are to the true RNG chicane. We'll see how bouncy it is for this BMW. Little bit on exit, but overall pretty good. The BMW does do well over curbs as far as I know. Definitely better than some other cars. But we are now coming down to the last two important corners, including the hard braking zone of turn, I want to say 17, but I could be wrong. Now the less hard braking zone of maybe turn 18, hard on the power all the way back down the main straight. So he will come across the line here in just a moment to set our first gold lap. He still looks to be valid, and he goes provisional P3 with a 144.6. So very nice job there. Stefan Pellerin comes across the line with a 144.5, and Ian Gilchrist comes across the line with a 143.7. So some really good banker laps here. Dick Zipperburn Sr. splits the gap between Gilchrist and Pellerin with a 144.4. Very nice job there. Jeremy Ran with a 145.3. Brad Marath with a 149.9, so not the best lap there from him, but we will have to see where he improves. Dick Zipperburn Sr. already improving, but is not the biggest improver. I will go on board with a lap for him in a minute, because I really like hearing the Mustang, and I want you guys all to enjoy and revel in that sound. But we're going to watch Stefan Pellerin as he comes through turn 9, coming down to Aqua Minerale, see if he can do better than the onboard lap we had with the BMW. A little less stable maybe on the apex of turn 10, but very nice job to get on the power and not go wide, and didn't brake quite as hard as some of their drivers have, so very nice job. Takes a lot of exit curb there on that corner, but very nice job. He's improving by about a second. There's a lot of drivers improving by about a second right now. Hopkins goes provisional P4 with a 144.2. I believe that's Brad Hopkins, but I could be wrong. But Stefan Pellerin is going to come across the line to improve by about 1.25 seconds. That'll put him into provisional P2 if he can hold it. Sullivan takes provisional P2 before him, so Pellerin will only get provisional P3, but still very nice improvement for both of them. Ian Gilchrist overtakes them both with a 143 flat. Still 4/10 between second and first place, as now we have a actual first place with, I believe it's Joey Van Winkle, yes, with a 144 or 142.555. So very nice job there. Takes pole by about 1/10 of a second. Zipperburn Sr. was improving, but I don't know if he finished that. So we're going to go watch Hopkins here. He's improving by about a second and 1/10, and that will put him up to provisional P4. Yes, provisional P4. So the gold drivers have come to play. Joey Van Winkle not improving on his current lap, so we're just going to go follow with Hopkins until Zipperburn Sr. gets to the start line, and Hopkins goes deep. He goes straight on into turn 4. Maybe a little bit of an oversteer moment. We're going to watch that here. We're going to go on board here just to see what happens. Yeah, so oversteer moment, and decided to just go back to the pits. So that is not it for Hopkins. He does have more time to set a lap. It's just a matter of will he be able to come out. Van Winkle currently improving. He loses a whole bunch of time there. I just missed it, so I'm going to show it here in the main screen. So watch how he bumps over these curbs here at the what I call the RNG chicane. So a little bit unsettled through the first bit of the chicane, and that really doesn't help him through the second part of the chicane, which is why he is now in the pits. So yeah, Zipperburn Sr. had a yellow flag. I don't know why. I believe it was just him maybe backing up to try and get another lap in, but we will have to see, as he is now coming down the main straight. We're going to go on board with him again, or with him, to listen to this wonderful, wonderful Mustang engine and to see how he does on board, because he has a lot of time to find if he wants to get pole position. Very nice job coming over that first curve there, letting off the throttle just a little bit to make sure he doesn't have any issues coming through the second half of the chicane, and he does a very nice job there, gaining about 1/10 and a half. Now coming down to turns 5 and 6. Braking a little too much there in turn 5, I think, the first part of that chicane, but still improving. Now on to the hairpin. The Mustang has a very nice advantage over most cars in the hairpin just due to how much power it has. Now that restrictor plate will dampen that somewhat, but still a very nice job to get it. Now for probably one of the harder zones. Sector 2 is going to be the harder zone for any of the front engine cars. So BMW, I think, Aston Martin, Ford. We don't have any Nissan, but the Nissan has issues through here. But he does a very nice job breaking through Acqua Minerale. Getting back on the power, still improving on his time, but he has a lot of people to gain time on. He's currently sitting in P13, so it'll all really depend on how he takes this corner. Maybe braking a little too much, but keeps it safe. Gains about 3/10 through that corner, and you can see how stable his car was through there. That's that Ford doing an amazing job through there. And now into the last hard braking zone for turn 17. Maybe braking a little too much again, but still improving on his time. Little bit of an oversteer moment, so he will lose a good chunk of that time. Maybe about 2/10, but he still will improve by about 6/10 of a second to go up to provisional P10. Only P12, so my apologies. So really unfortunate there for him. Jeremy, I believe that's Jeremy Rand just behind him, yes. So Jeremy Rand just ahead of him. And we are down within the last minute of qualifying. Joey Van Winkle starting his next lap, but I'm going to switch to Sullivan, who's currently leading the pack of cars. He's only about half a tenth behind Joey Van Winkle. There's a yellow flag for Van Winkle. Van Winkle is off the track. Did not have a good turn 4 exit, and that is him done. He could have possibly gotten around to start another lap, but I don't think so. So that is Van Winkle's time done. Shane Sullivan is not improving by that much. He's right at where he was for his last lap. All he has to have is a half-tenth improvement, and I think he can find it. But no, he's lost 3/10 through that corner, so it all depends on the final 2 corners. No one else really improving at the moment. Scarborough maybe improving by about a tenth. There's a yellow flag for Leung, but I'm going to watch Shane Sullivan as he comes through the final corner, not improving. So Shane Sullivan, not a factor for pole position. Stefan Pellerin right behind, also not improving, so gonna stick at provisional P5. Ian Gilchrist, though, coming across the line with about a 2/10 improvement. That'll put him up to provisional P5, just overtaking Stefan Pellerin. And then our last driver was Zipperburn Sr. He's improved by about 8/10, but he is invalid. So that is our qualifying time done. Jeremy Rand going to come across the line to finish us off. But Joey Van Winkle with a provisional P1. I will quickly show the times here if I can. Hopefully. Okay, so as you can see, Joey Van Winkle with a very nice job there, being just barely ahead of Shane Sullivan. Hopefully you were able to get some quick view of those times there, but we are going to take a quick break and get a word from our sponsors before we start our grid walk.
A huge thank you to our SRA sponsors and title sponsors for supporting us here at SRA, as well as support from Documise, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documise.com to learn more today. And support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favourite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Experience redefined gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. AT3D Sim Shop. Upgrade your sim racing experience today with premium 3D printed accessories featuring precision crafted magnetic shifters, sleek cable management solutions, versatile stream deck mounts, and immersive dashboard displays. Their innovative designs enhance performance and style, elevate every lap with top-tier quality and craftsmanship at at3d.net. Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. Castle and Cauldron, a home-based crafting business specializing in handmade Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts and Fairy World collectibles. Magic wands, potions, mini dioramas, wall decor, costumery, cosplay and much more. Castle and Cauldron is where crafting meets the magical. Visit facebook.com/Castle Cauldron. And from KP Concepts, your source for custom automotive renderings, graphic design, and printing. We spend countless hours making you look all good for the spectacle. Check out kpconcepts.com for more.
All right, we are back just in time to start our formation lap. We have 21 drivers here today, and we're going to show off every single one of them. So to start off, we have Joey Van Winkle with a very nice pole position. I don't remember the time, but I know it was very good. I do remember that only 5/10ths behind him was Shane Sullivan, also in a BMW. So very nice job there. Right behind them on row 2 is Daniel Builez, who was looking mighty fast in the practice races, in the practice servers, but maybe that was done in a little bit different climate. So if you look in the top right of the screen, you can see that we are at the minimum track temperature possible in SRA, or in ACC. We are at optimum track, which is a little shocking to me, but we are at 10 degrees, which is the minimum you can set it. So these drivers are going to have very cold tires and may or may not blow up their brakes in an attempt to keep them warm. But beside Daniel Builez is Daniel Beckstead in our first Ferrari. Then we have Ian Gilchrist in another Ferrari in P5. In P6 we have Stefan Pellerin. And then we have Bruce Hopkins. Sorry, I thought it was Brad Hopkins earlier, but it is Bruce Hopkins. So looking forward to seeing how he does today. Hopefully not fishtailing it through turn 4 again. Right behind him is Danny Scarborough. And then we have our second silver driver in Alejandro Guarin, who I believe is our silver championship leader. No, he's second behind Quinn Jetter, who I will show in a minute. But we have Jeremy Rand right behind him in P10. Brad Morath, who was our P2 driver before missing last week's race. Dick Zipperburn Sr., our current overall championship winner, leader, with a really tall task ahead of him to try and keep that P1. He'll have to be really consistent. Joshua Hooker is in P13. Alan Leung in P14. Lenu Gray has thankfully, I believe, fixed his connection issues, so he is able to start this race in P15. Denny Savard, right behind him in P17. Quinn Jetter, our current silver leader, but again, like Zipperburn Sr., is going to have a really big task here to make sure he keeps that lead going through. Bruce McLaren here in P18. Jason Yu in P19. Jason Whitwam in P20. And then almost inside him for a little bit, there was Max Yang in P21 as we are getting ready to start our first lap here. So if you have any predictions in the comments, I will say Joey Van Winkle's name whenever I want, especially when he is P1. So, anywho, I expect a lot of fun here today, but I do expect a lot of track limit violations. There's a lot of places where you can get those violations on the exit or turn 4, turn 6, and a whole bunch of other spots. We do have a little ways to go before we get to our start line, as it is right down here at the, I believe, middle or very end of this pit lane, but I do expect to have a lot of fun here. It's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers try to overtake one another once we get past the first couple laps, because there is not good overtaking zones here. But we are coming to the line, and we are maybe green? No, not yet. We have to wait even longer all the way down here. So we are coming now to the start line, and we are green. Go for racing for season 17. Joey Van Winkle and Shane Sullivan side by side into turn 1. I believe Van Winkle will have the advantage here. No, he gets passed for P1 into turn 2, but turn 1, and he goes off, so he's going to lose even more positions there. We're going to watch on the wing here. We're mostly clean. There's a yellow flag at the back, but everyone's going straight. Wheelez not able to take advantage of Van Winkle going off track before the exit of turn 4. But Sullivan is off into the distance there already. If I can show the right camera, Wheelez now under attack from behind by Ian Gilchrist. There was a pass back here between Alan Leung and Guarin. I missed it, unfortunately, but not many drivers here are going to have a good shot of overtaking into turn 9, just due to how these drivers are going to be looking. But we are all still single file. Max Yang getting past Bruce McLaren. The McLaren does have decent torque, but not as much as the AMG McLaren. So very nice job there to get up into P19 to begin fighting toward the top. We do now have a little bit of a gap here between Zipperburn Sr. and Marath. Closes a little bit going through this chicane here, but not much. Looking at the start, moving positions, Brad Marath and Dick Zipperburn Sr. have both gained 3 positions, as well as Alan Leung and Whitwam. There's a few drivers who've lost positions, but none more important than Van Winkle here, up in P2, trying to now get back at Sullivan, but not close enough to do anything. You have to be essentially right behind someone in order to get anything done through this lap. There is now a bit of a gap between Beckstead and Ian Gilchrist in P4 and P5. No one really looking like they're that close to trying anything. Brad Marath was maybe looking like he could have done something, but not close enough. So we are now we are through lap 1. The pits are open. I doubt anyone will pit just yet, but we are into the thick of it now. And so it really all depends on being able to get your tires up to temperature. That's where a lot of people are going to have issues here today, especially if they haven't done enough testing. And I know that I may not have even had that much testing, or enough testing done. So U has fallen down a little bit. I believe that was part of the opening melee, and especially at the back. There was a yellow flag. I just wasn't able to see it, unfortunately. Yeah, no worries, Kyle. But yeah, so Ian Gilchrist is now side by side with Daniel Builes here into the RNG chicane. Will they leave each other room? It looks like they were. That's really not a place to really go side by side with people. Unfortunately, Daniel Builes took the brunt of that, went a little bit wide. He's going to lose 2, possibly 3, maybe 4 positions. It all depends on Stefan Pellerin. Okay, so only 3 positions to Ian Gilchrist, Daniel Beckstead, and Hopkins. However, Stefan Pellerin is right behind him coming down the main straight. I'm going to go on the wing of Hopkins. I don't think Hopkins will get past here just because he has better top speed, but it will allow Builes to make sure that he does not get passed by Stefan Pellerin. However, he's looking dicey, or looking racy, sorry. No movements into the braking zone, though. That's one of the main issues with this track. It's not that it's not fun to drive, because I love driving this track. It's that you have almost no chances of passing anyone, just because the straight is technically long enough, but it's such a short corner going through it that you really don't have a shot at making an overtake. As Quinn Jetter, I believe, goes off track here through turn 2. I will go ahead and quickly replay that here. Oh, so yeah, just going deep and having to straight line turn 3, so losing the spot to Max Yang. Unfortunate there. Stefan Pellerin right behind Daniel Builes, not trying anything into turn 9. Probably the safe thing to do. But I think Builes is really going to try a different method here, coming through the exit of Aqua Minerale. If he has to go side by side, Stefan Pellerin goes wide there, possibly using a speed token. He won't be close enough to overtake anyone, but he will make sure that Marath isn't able to overtake anyone. There's a yellow flag for Savard. I'm going to quickly replay this here. I think he may have spun into Aqua Minerale. Oh, so yeah, taking a little bit too much speed. Ooh. Very nice job there to not hit Gray. There's a so yeah, Quinn Jitter got past him, unfortunately. Hooker has gotten past Wickwam as they're now side by side into the last couple turns. Whitwam going deep into the corner. They are now side by side through turn 18. Whitwam technically has the advantage here of the overall speed. But Hooker, I think, has a chance to get the overtake done. If he gets back in the slipstream, he's not, though. So I don't know if he's just content with that position or he didn't know how to fight it back. Whoa, no! Hooker taking way too much brakes there, unfortunately. So Whitwam shoved through the corner, and he will get passed by Yang and Hooker. Yang looking to try and overtake Hooker into turn 5, but not able to do so. Hooker going a little bit wide there on the turn exit, so unfortunate there. Well, I'll have to let the stewards sort that out as Whitwam tries to maybe look on the inside of Yang here, possibly into turn 9, but I don't think he will. And he does not. There's not many good camera views here. They're all shuffled. But anyway, so there's that. Looking out front, Shane Sullivan is still pretty close to Joey Van Winkle. Their last laps were pretty close. However, the fastest lap was the guy just behind them, Ian Gilchrist, of a 1:44.2, and that was 2 seconds faster than Shane Sullivan's best lap. I don't know if there was an issue between them, between Sullivan and Van Winkle. I don't think there was on their last lap, with them being a second or 2 seconds slower than Ian Gilchrist on the last lap. But we still have a battle for first place, and it likely will all come down to the last pit strategy. And no, Builes! What happened here? So coming through the last corner, he goes a little bit deep. Oh! Oversteer moment that was not helped by Stefan Pellerin being right behind him. So Builes having a such a horrible opening to this race. Side-by-side action with with one of the drivers, I believe Beckstead, and then an unfortunate place for an unfortunate incident there. I can't really blame Stefan Pellerin for that incident because he was just too close to stop in time before he made contact. But either way, really unfortunate moment there for Builes. He will have to try and fight all the way back up to where he started. He's now lost 16 positions. So he just needs to get his head down, keep rolling, and as long as he's able to keep his head down, he should be able to overtake people again. He's already gotten past Savard, so he's working his way back up. But meanwhile, out front, Ian Gilchrist, 2 tenths right behind Beckstead, but also Hopkins and Beckstead are side by side. Beckstead ahead at the corner, so he will be able to take that. No, that's a bump and run. Hopkins getting bumped, or no, Hopkins bumping Beckstead to do a bump and run there. That is not how you want to overtake. No, sir, the stewards will have something to say about you. Hopkins able to not, or Beckstead able to not lose any positions to Morath behind, but he still might. There's a brief yellow flag for Hooker, who got passed by Yang and Whitwam down in P14. Not sure what that was about, but he seems to be going straight. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Okay, so I believe it was just an oversteer moment or an unsettled moment through that last chicane, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so there's that. Whitwam still trying to get past Yang here. Maybe looking to try something into the turn 1. No. Not close enough. However, Stefan Pellerin and Brad Morath have swapped positions. I'm going to quickly replay this here. I think Morath either went wide or was letting him past. I'm not sure. Once I finish this replay, I'm going to go back a little bit further. And I didn't go back far enough. I apologize. So I'm just showing the same replay over and over again at this point. So sorry for that. Bruce McLaren, I believe, had an off-track moment, but I'm not sure what it was, so I won't replay that. Meanwhile, Morath going a little bit wide there, but no big issues. Meanwhile, we have more 3-car action here. Whitwam and Yang, Max Yang, both go off the track in Aqua Minerale. That allows Hooker to get past Whitwam before the braking zone. So very nice job there by Hooker to get that pass done. Now he's looking to fight with Max Yang for P15. He won't have the initial acceleration, but he will have similar straight line speed. So it's all just a matter of how quickly he can get near him. As we're gonna go on board here for this corner, or for the straight. I think he's too far behind to attempt anything into the braking zone. Yeah, he's almost a second now back from Hooker, about 7/10. So no chance to overtake there. Whitman behind is a little bit closer, but not close enough. Especially with the brakes of that Ferrari being so much better than the AMG. So, no chance there to overtake. Our gap has expanded here out front. Joey Van Winkle with about a 3-second gap back to Sullivan and Ian Gilchrist. He has now set a fastest lap of a 1:43.555. And he's about 6/10 faster a lap than Sullivan or Gilchrist. So at least for the moment, he looks very solid there in P1. Shane Sullivan right behind him. These are two teammates. So it's very possible that in the initial racing, at least, they were a little bit cautious, making sure they didn't crash into each other, which is always very important. I've done that before. Not crashing into your teammates, just making sure that you don't. However, Ian Gilchrist is slightly falling behind, not by much, as Hooker, I'm going to replay this here in the booth. I'm seeing a mass yellow flag incident, but I believe that was a connection issue. I really hope. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Oh! So Hooker trying to go up the inside of Max Yang there through Akminerale and was not able to. Everyone's going fine on track, so the 20 yellow flags I saw in race control, I believe, are just a glitch. As Leung loses 2 positions, but I'm not quite sure how, so we're going to replay this here. Unfortunately, I've missed it, so I don't know exactly how an overtake was made. However, Beckstead did fall a couple positions. I'm going to replay that here. So that's Beckstead there in the front. Oh, he goes way deep there into turn 2 or turn 3, whatever you want to call that. So he loses 2 positions to Stefan Pellerin and Brad Marath. Marath looked like he might try something there into turn 5, but not able to do anything. So now has to fight for them a little bit later. Meanwhile, up front, Sullivan had a little bit of a slower last lap. Actually, no, I apologize. Ian Gilchrist and Bruce Hopkins both had super fast last laps, both in the 1:43s. So Sullivan really under all that pressure. Now this will help his teammate out front to maintain that lead. As you can see, he's got about a 5.5 second gap there out front. So the longer Sullivan can hold these guys behind, or possibly even get more of a gap to them, the better Van Winkle will have. And this finish, if it were to happen like this, would really bump them up in the team standings. If I remember correctly, they're P2 in the team standings, maybe P3. Between Van Winkle and Sullivan, so they could do a really nice job here to get this 1-2 or even just a 1-4 finish. Looking a little bit further back, Builes and Jetter. Looks like Jetter just got a bad exit there from Aquaminerale turn, I want to say turn 14, but I could be wrong. So there's that. Jason Whitlam has a yellow flag moment. I'm going to see what happened here. Ooh, so deep on the brakes there, slamming into Hooker, unfortunately, and off track. So very unfortunate there for him. Doesn't look like it was too major of an issue for Hooker, as he's still going straight. We'll have to see if he repairs any damage while he's in the pits. Looking back up at P5, Brad Marath still right behind Stefan Pellerin, not able to do any passing attempts though. And Beckstead there right behind, just waiting for them to make some kind of mistake so he can pounce. All three doing a very nice job there through Aquaminerale to stay both on the track and get a good exit. Marath may be looking to try something into this corner. No. That is a absolute punt. and that's going to affect all three of them. Zipperburn Sr., I believe that was Scarborough. Yes, Scarborough and Leung all managed to get through relatively safely. Gray did not. I think he had issues coming through that, but that's going to cause a whole big shakeup as some of these drivers are able to get past. I'm not sure who's getting past who, because it was a little crazy, but showing me Leung got around Scarborough, Ran got around Guarin, and Yang got around Gray, but I believe Gray lost a good chunk of spots there, so I don't know if that was specifically there. However, that really does hurt Beckstead, Stefan Pellerin, and Brad Morath. Now, Morath and Pellerin are still in the same relative order. However, Jamie Rand looking to try and overtake on Morath. Doesn't have quite the straight line speed, though, unfortunately, so unable to capitalize further on that chaos. So Jeremy Rand gonna be still right behind Brad Morath in P10. Stefan Pellerin still ahead of Morath, although probably a good chunk unhappy with Morath through that corner. And Stefan Pellerin going wide there. Morath and Jeremy Rand going to get places from him. It would not shock me if Stefan Pellerin's tires are absolutely cooked at this point. Jeremy Rand not able to complete the pass on there, so now that backs up Guarin and Max Yang. They're side by side coming into turn 9. Max Yang on the inside. He will have the advantage. Ooh, Gray looking very racy there behind Guarin. Thankfully, no contact and no big issues, but that was a very big shakeup to all the drivers behind. That's allowed Dick Zipperburn Sr. to get all the way up into P5, so his recovery drive is well on its way, with a whole bunch of drivers ahead of him having issues, whether self-caused or caused by others. There's a yellow flag for Hooker, who I believe spun coming through the last corner. Yeah, he's had an unfortunate race so far, but he's able to get going straight again, losing about 2 positions in that chaos, but still doing fine. Back out front, where there's a little bit less chaos, Shane Sullivan still holding on to that P2 position. I do wonder how that'll all turn out. However, Bruce Hopkins and Ian Gilchrist now side by side. Hopkins going to have the inside line here, so as long as there's no funny business, he should be able to keep it here, and he does. He goes wide, though. That'll allow maybe Bruce. No, Bruce not able to capitalize. He had to slow down in order to make sure he didn't hit Ian Gilchrist ahead, but that removes so much pressure from Shane Sullivan in P2. He's now able to just run a little bit cleaner, try to maybe cool his tires off, as we have Hooker into the pits for the first pit stop of the race. There's a yellow flag moment for Guarin and Gray. No. So this is coming through turn 6, now coming to the hairpin at the start of sector 2. Oh, so Gray braking on the grass there, loses control of the car, and unfortunately spins into Guarin, and I think Guarin got the worst of that, at least in terms of timing. He lost a position to Quinn Jetter, so unfortunate there for Guarin. I believe our P2 in silver, still a chance to improve his position, but so there's that. See Jeremy Rand and Stefan Pellerin and Max Yang here fighting for the P10. They're all super close to each other, but none of them have a massive straight line speed advantage against each other. Jeremy Rand and Stefan Pellerin both in the same car, and Max Yang I don't believe has that much more straight line speed than the Aston Martins. We're gonna go on board here with Jeremy Rand just to see what happens, as it looks like there's a stop-go 30 penalty for Hooker for speeding in the pit lane, and that is really unfortunate, because I'm not gonna say that's the end of this race, but it kind of feels like it just because he's so far back now, but he still has a chance to get points, so hopefully he still sticks around. I assume that he will. Yeah, so no chance for Jeremy Rand or for Max Yang to try anything yet. Out front, Bruce Hopkins is still right on the tail of Ian Gilchrist. Not looking for any major overtaking zones. There's a yellow flag for Builes coming through turn 5 and 6, possibly pulling a I think it's a Sonoda crashed here. So yeah, oh, yeah, so that was one of the RNG parts of the chicanes that I was talking about, how if you hit that curb wrong, it just absolutely sends you, and that's what happened there, unfortunately. He loses 2 spots to Jetter and Guarin. So recovery drive set back a little bit, but he still has the pace to get super far as long as he's able to stay consistent. Looking a little bit further ahead, Zipperburn Sr. has turned into a little bit of a train conductor here. He's got 3 cars right behind him in Beckstead, Leung, and Scarborough. None of them really have a good enough straight line speed advantage over him because the Porsche has the acceleration of the Mustang, but not the straight line speed, and the Ferraris are the opposite. They have the straight line speed, but not the acceleration. So none of them really able to find an advantage quite yet. And this train here for Zipperburn Sr. is going to get longer. Morath is about a second behind Scarborough. Stefan Pellerin not too much further beyond that, and Jeremy Ran and Max Yang also not too much further beyond that. Max Yang may be looking to try something down the inside. No, not close enough, as they both have synchronized oversteer moments there. Max Yang looking up the inside of turn 6, not able to do anything though. Sorry, turn 7. Warren and Jetter have swapped places, I believe. They may have been going side by side. I'm not entirely sure. Max Yang again looking to try something. Please break in time. Thank you. That was looking mighty dicey there, but we are fine for now. Looking back out, yeah, we'll switch to back up front for just a moment. Sullivan and Gilchrist and Hopkins are back at it again. So Gilchrist was able to gain back that 2-second gap, whatever it was, to Sullivan, and so he's right behind him. And they are coming down the main street now. They're not really close enough to try anything, so it's really all dependent on who pits when. And then right behind them, Zipperburn Sr. now coming out of the final corner. He's got 4 cars right behind him with another 3 not that much farther back. I'm a little surprised that Beckstead isn't staying in the slipstream the whole time down this straight. I'm not sure. I don't think he's having to cool his brakes or tires, given how cold the track is, but it could be. I don't know. Yeah, Beckstead getting really close into the braking zones, but not able to actually overtake anywhere on the actual straight, just due to how it is. However, I'm going to quickly show this back here. Scarborough, Morath, and Stefan Pellerin were all super close to each other coming through that corner. I don't think there was any contact with anyone through there, and they're all continuing straight. However, we have created a chain in this train now, so instead of going from P5 all the way back to P10, it's now P7 to P10, as Leung leads a little bit more of a train. It's kind of hard to see this train compared to the Ferrari, just to the rear wing placement though. So we're just going to stay on TV Cam 2. Yeah, Beckstead now looking super racy. Zipperburn Sr. doing a very nice job to keep it in the middle of the track, not let Beckstead really find a good chance to overtake some of these drivers, specifically Scarborough, taking a very nice line through some through that chicane, not able to turn it into an overtake though. However, he might hear that Porsche of Alan Leung did not a very nice job of taking that first corner. Right ahead of them, Beckstead and Zipperburn Sr. also really close. I'm going to go on board here with Beckstead. I don't think it's going to be close enough to try anything, but the Ferrari brakes are good enough that you can send not a dive bomb, but a dive, as long as you are sort of close enough. However, he backs off there, not attempting anything, not close enough. Scarborough also not close enough to Leung behind. Yeah, we're still really close coming into turn 5. Not close enough for any overtakes, though. We're probably going to save any overtaking attempts now. Maybe. Excuse me, Morath trying to send it out around the outside of Scarborough, I believe. Yeah, so he's sending it around the outside. If he's able to get far enough ahead coming into the braking zone, he might be able to force the overtake issue, but I don't think he is. They're still side by side. They're going to go side by side through Aqua Minerale. Stefan Pellerin might want to back off just in case there's an incident. And there's not. Marath gets that move done. Very nice job there to overtake around the outside of turns 6 through 10, and then a very nice job going side by side through there. Hopkins and Ian Gilchrist are now side by side coming into the final corner. As Ian Gilchrist, I don't know if he got shoved wide or if he just went wide, but he's not able to do anything there. I'm going to go on board with Ian Gilchrist. He's right behind Hopkins. He's right in that slipstream. As long as he's able to stay close enough, he might be okay. No, he's running too much rear wing, and Hopkins is in the slipstream of Sullivan. So that is that. Hopkins taking the position away from Ian Gilchrist. And as I say that, Hopkins goes deep. Ian Gilchrist might have a chance to try something into turn 5. He's still right behind him. Not able to do anything, though, I don't think. No, was not able to capitalize on that mistake. Not in the right position as Sullivan goes wide. Sullivan goes wide. He's lost a position to Hopkins. I don't think he'll lose it to Ian Gilchrist just due to the positioning. Ian Gilchrist tried to do an over and under, was not able to make it work. So that is Hopkins up into P2. And Hopkins has been going a lot faster than Sullivan the last couple of races, as Sullivan uses one of his speed tokens there. So yeah, Hopkins is now free to try and chase down Joey Van Winkle for P1. It's a 12-second gap currently, but we have 32 minutes to go in this race. There's still a lot of time for these people. And now, looking at the pit strategy, Daniel Builes, unfortunately, is having to serve a stop-go 30. I'm assuming that a lot of people are going to have issues with speeding in the pit lane today, so very possible that some of these drivers lose their hard-fought positions. Stefan Pellerin is serving a normal pit stop. He is coming out of the pits now. He was stopped for 45 seconds, so he definitely had some damage to repair, as I believe we saw that happen. But overall, fairly decent pit stop. We'll have to see where he shuffles out. And that is Shane Sullivan into the pits. So that is our first of the front runners pitting. I'm going to quickly replay his pit entry just because I want to see how he did and if he got slowed down in time. Okay, he definitely got slowed down in time. So no issues there with him speeding through the pit lane. However, Beckstead and Leung are fighting. They both go deep there. They both thankfully rejoin safely. So I believe that's Marath and Leung are going to get past both of them. I don't know if that was an attack into the pits or what. Builes is out of the pits, but he still has his stop-go 30, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, unfortunately, for him. I'm hoping that's not another stop-go 30, but I could be wrong, I guess. I'm going to quickly mute here for a second, so I'm going... Oh, no, I'm not. Jeremy ran. Unfortunately, having an oversteer moment through turn 6. I'm going to quickly replay this. He's had a few iffy moments. Not any bad moments, but a few iffy moments. But unfortunately, I think this is the first bad moment. Oh, he got... I don't know if you could see that, but he got on the gas on the inside curbing there, so really unfortunate. I'm going to quickly turn the camera over to Scarborough and mute this microphone so that I can blow my nose without blowing your eardrums out. All right, I am back. Thankfully, no major action while I was disposed of. Scarborough coming into the pits. He slows down in time, so he will be perfectly fine on that pit speed entry. Daniel Builes coming back into the pits to serve his stop-go 30. So he either accidentally sped again, or he may have accidentally not turned on his serve penalty setting in the pit menu. But with that pit. Daniel Beckstead is clear now to fight with Leung for a little bit longer. We are now past the halfway point, and a lot of drivers still haven't pitted as Daniel Beckstead makes a massive error. Well, not too massive. He only loses about a second to Leung ahead, but a massive jump there over the chicane there for turn 6. Still going straight, so not that big of an issue though. Looking out front at Hopkins, Hopkins is about 10 seconds back from Joey Van Winkle. He has been slowly cutting that lap or that time down, but not really close enough to make an attempt at an overtake yet. So we'll have to see where that all shakes out once the pits are done. Shane Sullivan is out of the pits. He's about a minute and a half away from the leader. And speaking of the leader, Van Winkle is into the pits. I'm gonna once again here quickly replay just to make sure that we don't have any issues with speeding in the pit lane. And it also just shows you how annoying this entry to the pit lane can be. Okay, he should be fine there. But that lets Bruce Hopkins into the lead here. There was a very brief battle between Stefan Pellerin and Jeremy Ran. I don't think they're close enough to be battling anymore, unfortunately. Ian Gilchrist, Daniel Beckstead, and Max Yang are all both into the pits. So we've only got about 7 or 8 drivers who haven't pit yet. But yeah, so looking at Sullivan, I'm going to quickly look at the stop times. So our stop times, if you were to stop optimally, is about a minute 14. So I'm going to add another 20 seconds to that. Another 15-20 seconds to that. No, I'm only going to add an extra 5 seconds. I think it's more than 5 seconds, but I'm only going to add another 5 seconds. So a minute 14 plus 5, so it's about a minute 20, minute 25 pit stop time, depending on how long you take in the pits. If it's perfect, it'll be about probably a minute 20 loss. The gap from Sullivan to Hopkins out front is about a minute 23. And the gap to Van Winkle is only a minute 8. So I think Hopkins needs to pit now if he wants to try and preserve his chance at a podium. I think he would be fine to cover off Zipperburn Sr., who's about a minute 30 behind him. But it is very possible that if he stays out too long, that Hopkins may not be able to keep this podium. We have what I'm going to call 6 important drivers left to pit as Brad Morath comes into the pits. Again, just for the fun of it, I'm going to quickly see if he has any issues here. It might be a little hard to see. Oh no, I think he's going to get a penalty. So I don't know if you caught it there, but he slowed down to the perfect time, and then he sped back up before he got to the pit lane marker. So I don't want to predict anything too bad, but I think Morath may get a stop-go 30 or a drive-through penalty, and that will be his podium chances done, unfortunately. Whitlam also into the pits. Hopkins is about halfway through the lap, so we will come back to him once he gets close to the pits. Meanwhile, back in current P11, Max Yang is fighting with Jeremy Ran. Max Yang using one of his speed tokens to make sure he doesn't lose that position. I have to wonder how many of those he has left, because I know a lot of drivers have invalidated a lot of laps. It's just going to really depend on how many times they get track cut warnings versus just no time gained warnings. But for the moment, Max Yang able to keep that position from Jeremy Ran. Although, Jeremy Ran and Stefan Pellerin are still right behind him, so it's all going to depend on how that shakes out. Alright, Kyle has officially called that now that Quinn Jeter has gotten up to... Okay. He thinks that Quinn Jeter is getting up to 10th. I kind of hope that he does, but I don't know if he'll be able to. Meanwhile, I missed it, but Whitwam trying to get past Stefan Pellerin. He got past Jeremy Ran. I think Jeremy Ran had an issue, so I'm going to quickly replay this, what happened with Jeremy Ran. So, He's side by side with Stefan Pellerin, as I believe that was Hopkins going into the pits just behind him. So we will have to see where he comes out at. So Jeremy Rand losing the position to Stefan Pellerin there, coming down the main straight. And then that is Whitwam just ahead of them, coming out of the pits. So that is how Whitwam got around Jeremy Rand, I think. That is why he's currently ahead of him anyways. So there's that. Looking at... where is Morath? Brad Morath. Alright, so it looks like I was wrong, thankfully. Brad Morath did not get a stop-go 30 penalty or a drive-through penalty or anything like that. He is fine. I was saying he was fine, but then he spins through that corner. I'm going to quickly replay this here. Actually, yeah, I'm going to replay this. I think there may have been contact there, unfortunately, with the driver behind. Yes, there was. So that is a hard bump and run there for Morath. Thankfully, he didn't get beached. It almost looked like he might, but he did lose about 4 positions there. Maybe more. That might have been a blue flag that hit him. I'm not quite sure, but either way, that's really unfortunate. But looking out front, Hopkins comes out in provisional P3. However, Ian Gilchrist went deep into turn 6, and so he's going to take the position back. Maybe, no, they're side by side now, coming up through turn 8 now, and soon to be turn 9. We saw, I believe that was one of the Ford drivers, I believe that was Brad Morath, getting overtake done on the outside of those 2 corners to set up the inside for Aqua Minerale. Hopkins opting not to try that, probably for the best. A little bit behind there. No, Stefan Pellerin goes off. So I believe he goes off through turn... yeah, so he goes a little bit wide there through turn 6. Going side by side with Whitwam through turn 7, and he goes deep again. No. So Pellerin loses about 3 positions, I think. Now sitting behind Brad Morath. Morath not getting the best exit out of Aqua Minerale, so they're going to go side by side through the RNG chicane. We've seen this go both what I'll call okay and bad before, and I will call that okay because no one died. So good job to not cause any issues there through that corner. Meanwhile, Max Yang and Daniel Bexter were going side by side after that, as Max Yang goes way deep. Max Yang goes way deep. He's going to lose another position to Whitwam, possibly another position to Jeremy Rand. No, Jeremy Rand had to check up to make sure he didn't hit him. So only losing 2 positions, I think, there. But Jeremy Rand is going to be looking for, I'm not going to say revenge, but something like that. Yeah, looking a little bit further ahead with Scarborough. Scarborough is 2 tenths behind Zipperburn Sr. This had been a much bigger train before bumping, not intentional bumping runs, but that's unfortunately what they were. Contacts is what I'll call them. So Scarborough trying to find a way around Zipperburn Sr., but Zipperburn Sr. is in a car that you just really can't pass without them making a mistake ahead of you. Unfortunately. Meanwhile, Jeremy Rand was almost side by side with Max Yang coming up to the turn. He was not, though. There was a pass between Stefan Pellerin and Morath. They were going side by side through turn 6. Sorry, turn 7. Looks like nothing big happens here, though. Looking out front just for a little bit, Hopkins had been very close to Ian Gilchrist. I missed it. Ian Gilchrist got ahead of Hopkins. I'm going to quickly see if I can replay this. I missed it. Oh, well. Yeah, so Hopkins had some kind of moment where he was invalid. Going a little bit deep there. Okay. So, no big issues there. A little bit off track, but he still has a good chance of overtaking Gilchrist if he's able to get back close to him, and he's within a second now, so he should be okay. A-okay. Looking back at Scarborough and Zipperburn Sr. They're still really close to one another, not able to really find a way to get past, though. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have another big issue between drivers again like we did earlier. Although I think that's probably a good thing. Meanwhile, Stefan Pellerin is almost side by side with Jeremy Rain into turn 7, but decides better of it. Jeremy Rain going a little bit off on the inside of what is technically turn 8, but not really turn. So yeah. To answer Kyle Boyes, thinking that the Mustang is too good, I'm not going to say it's too good. Because it's worse than it was before. It's better than it was before we added the restrictor plate in terms of other people being able to race you. But it is certainly not easy to pass. Because it's similar to the Porsche in that it has really good acceleration out of corners. It's just that the Mustang also has top speed on its side, whereas the Porsche just has good turning. As we see Morath get around Stefan Pellerin there for P12. Speaking of possibilities of overtaking, Scarborough looking to get past Zipperburn Sr. He's going to be on the inside of turn 2. Oh, little bit unsteady there through the corner, but he managed to keep it stable. Now it's all about, can Zipperburn Sr. maybe make a better job there through the corner, and he is not able to. Zipperburn Sr. going a little bit deep into turn 3, so not able to take advantage of Scarborough's shakiness. However, Scarborough going deep there, I don't think that was an intentional let-by, so Zipperburn Sr. back into P6. After Scarborough makes an unfortunate, that wasn't an unforced error because there was pressure, but no one hit him, is what I'm trying to say. Meanwhile, here in the back, Stefan Pellerin and Brad Morath still fighting for that P12 position. Brad Morath trying to get up to Jeremy Rand to possibly overtake him. But it's hard because he's got so much pressure behind him. As there's a yellow flag for Hooker, but I can't see where, so I'm just going to leave him be. Stefan Pellerin using another one of his possible speed tokens. Excuse me. Yeah, but to finish off my point for Kyle Boyes, it is really hard to overtake a Mustang, especially at tracks like this where your only chance of overtaking is the car in front of you making some kind of mistake. So you were definitely correct in that. And so, especially in some of the lower divisions, it can be harder for drivers to try and overtake because they have to have an inherent skill advantage. And in lower divisions where you maybe haven't raced against certain cars as much, it's really hard to find that advantage in a place that you can actually overtake. Meanwhile, just behind, Stefan Pellerin possibly looking to try something into turn 2. No, he's not. However, Brad Morath may be looking to try something here into turn 6. Turn 5, no. Jeremy Rand doing a very nice job to cover off the middle of the track to not allow any overtakes. So very nice defensive driving there from Jeremy Rand. No, please stay straight. Okay, that's better than it could have been, but come on. So that is Jeremy Rand losing 2 positions to a punt from Morath. It was a very light punt that, as you saw, enough to get him off track. So unfortunately, that is it's kind of the move done, but yeah. So Morath now trying to hold the position back from Stefan Pellerin. As long as he's able to stay far enough away from Pellerin, he should be okay, but we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Scarborough still right on that rear end of Zipperburn Sr. As we are now at the 15-minute mark, so we will have an amount of time. I don't know exactly how much time, how many laps, but Zipperburn Sr. now going side by side with Scarborough down into turn 1. They're going to try and do this all over again. Scarborough on the inside, but not close enough to try something. Zipperman Sr. is going to go deep into turn 2, but I don't think it'll be in a good enough position for Scarborough to try and do anything. But Beckstead behind has a much better run. Zipperman Sr. might be caught between a hard place. No, they're all able to stay mostly clear through that corner. However, Beckstead with a little bit better run on Scarborough, not able to try anything there, unfortunately. But he might have a better exit up here, so he might be able to try something into turn 9. It'll be really hard to overtake a fellow Ferrari on the brakes, but he can certainly try. And he won't, so thinks better of it. Meanwhile, just behind them, Max Yang and Whitlam still fighting it out here. Battle of the Mercedes. Yang may be able to take a little bit more speed through the first part of Aqua Minerale if he wants to, but he does not have to. And being safe is never a bad option. Speaking of safe, out front, Hopkins is in the slipstream of Ian Gilchrist. They're gonna go side by side through turn 1. Hopkins doing a very nice job on the brakes to get the overtake done. Ian Gilchrist, I don't think will have enough time to get an overtake done into turn 5 to try and take back. And he won't. So that is Ian Gilchrist losing position to Bruce Hopkins. Bruce Hopkins once again now released to try and get past Van Winkle. Hopkins does have the fastest overall lap, but might struggle to actually find the time to actually get to Van Winkle to pass him, because he will be facing pressure from Ian Gilchrist all the way down. And Gilchrist, I think, is faster in most parts of the racetrack, just not the ones that matter. No, actually, Bruce Hopkins has a purple Sector 2 and Sector 3. The only car faster than him through Sector 1 is a fellow Mustang in Brad Morath, who I believe is Zipperburn's teammate. Ooh, that was almost a commentator's curse. I'm going to quickly pop off of him. I don't need to do that again. Yeah, we got a 3-way battle here for P6 still. Scarborough still trying to find a way to pass Zipperburn Sr. Zipperburn probably doing a very nice job keeping his tires in at this point, because I know that the Ferraris, if I remember correctly, are better on tire wear than the Mustangs, just simply due to the power difference in how their cars do. Kyle, you are right. Wheelez has unfortunately left the race. With how many drive-throughs he had, it does not shock me, and I feel really bad for him, because he had a really nice qualifying. He was up in the top, and then other people kept banging him, unfortunately, is the best way I can put it. Well, not banging into him. I don't want to say anything like that, but I don't need to become the next Cube. But yeah, so not a great race for him, and it's not his fault. You know, like I said, he had a great qualifying, was set to do really good, get a lot of points for that silver championship, and it just didn't pan out, and it's not his fault. So hopefully he remembers to put in his stewarding tickets, as does everyone else in this race. We do have stewards who look at these races, but only the stuff that you guys point out. So if you want to have something looked at from your race, you need to submit a ticket. Submit a stewarding ticket. As Beckstead gets an amazing jump there through Aqua Minerale. I don't think he'll have enough to try anything into this corner here, and no, he doesn't. But if he can try that again at some point and maybe get a little bit of a better run there on Scarborough, I think he has a really good chance to get that position. right, so now with 10 minutes to go, I'm going to quickly go over our biggest movers of the day. So out here up front, Bruce Hopkins has improved by 5 positions up to P2. Very nice job. Alan Leung has improved 9 positions to P5. Dick Zipperburn Sr. has improved 6 positions to get up to P6, although he's going to face pressure all the way through the rest of this stretch to keep that P6. Not too far behind them in this same train, Whitwam and Yang, both of these Mercedes have gone up 11 spots, so very nice recovery drives from them to get into the top 10. So very nice job there. It will be interesting to see how some of these drivers complete this race out. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the compliments. I do try to put energy into these solo broadcasts, and it's a little bit easier sometimes to interact with the comments, as Scarborough and Zipperman Sr. almost make contact through turn 10. That was very, very iffy. Very nice job by both of them not to make contact. Scarborough sending it into maybe a little bit unsafely, but they both do an amazing job to avoid contact, so no harm, no foul is what I'll say there. Looking out front, Brad Morath still trying to chase down Van Winkle. He's dropped the gap down to 9 seconds, but still not really close enough to try anything. Scarborough is looking to have a really nice run here, as long as he can get a good exit onto the final corner. Zipperburn Sr.'s tires may be starting to lose a little bit of their edge. Scarborough is just 2 tenths back from Zipperburn Sr., so if he stays in the slipstream all the way down to turn 1, he might get a chance to overtake. He's out of the slipstream now, which is not what you want to do. Possibly looking down the inside to try something? No, just making him make sure that he remembers he's there. Trying to force him into a mental mistake. But you'll have to wait for another half lap at least. Yeah, I'm really impressed with the way Zipperburn Sr. has been doing this. Meanwhile, just behind Whitwam, up the inside of Daniel Beckstead. Daniel Beckstead goes off. He loses another position to Yang and Pellerin. I'm going to quickly replay this here. So this is, I believe, a dummy move. So if we watch Whitwam there, not quite a dummy move. That was an actual move. But Beckstead, I don't know if he was expecting Whitwam to just go straight through or what, but he just straight lined it into the sand there, and unfortunately lost 3 positions. So that will drop him a couple more spots. That does mean that Whitwam and Yang are both now up 12 positions. So very nice job there to get the move done. Unfortunate for Beckstead to lose all those positions. I would have been interested to see how that battle went if he didn't, what I'll say, forcefully get backed out, is what I'll call that. Looking out front, Ian Gilchrist is having massive issues right now, and I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to quickly replay this here. I'm not sure. Ooh. So I believe that's a blue flag driver ahead of him that he had to try to break and avoid. I'm not sure who that is. He has not lost any positions. He's still in 3rd place, but he's lost 7 seconds to Bruce Hopkins ahead of him and is almost falling into the lap of Shane Sullivan. You can see him there just in the background. Meanwhile, Max Yang with a yellow flag moment. I'm going to quickly replay this here. We can see Stefan Pellerin, or not Stefan Pellerin, a 3-car battle there up front. I believe that's Whitwam trying to get overtakes done. Oh no! So Yang unfortunately breaks a little too late, runs into the back of Whitwam, loses the spot to Stefan Pellerin. Thankfully, I think Yang got the worst of it in terms of time loss. Whitwam's still right behind Scarborough and Zipperburn Sr., but now with Stefan Pellerin in the mix instead of Max Yang. So Yang back down to 11 positions gained. Still a very nice job, but we'll have to see how this all turns out. We have 5 minutes left. There's a yellow flag moment for somebody. Jetter, no. It looks like he went way deep into that corner. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's going to RTG or what, but I will leave him, I don't want to say to his misery, but unfortunately that is, he's not had a great day today so far. He is going again. It may have been technical issues. that was causing his issue. I'm not going to say that it's, I hope that's what it was, but it's kind of what it looks like. Meanwhile, Zipperburn Sr. is still holding down this P6. It's been a very nice recovery drive for him after a not so stellar qualify. He's had so much pressure on in this whole race. You can see everyone all the way down to P12. Yeah. Everyone all the way down to P12 is right behind Zipperburn Sr. Sorry for the little bit of moment I was reading the comments, but yeah, so Jetter's tires are probably super cold is what they're saying. So that's what I'm going to assume the issue is. Meanwhile, Marath is right behind Beckstead, not going to try anything into turn 5. Ooh! That was very close there. I'm going to quickly replay the onboard view here. Actually, no, I'm going to do the bonnet view just to see how close they were. Ooh! Very nice reaction there from Marath to keep it on the track and also not hit Beckstead ahead of him. Not a brake check, but still very unfortunate. His Max Shang is backwards. No, he's backwards through turns 9 and 10. So we're gonna replay this here. I believe he took. Oh yeah. So it was kind of hard to see because of the tree there, but he took way too much inside curbing there. He's all the way down back to P13. That is a loss of about 3 more positions. So it's not quite all falling apart at the end, but he's really going to have a hard time to get back to where he was. Looking out front, Hopkins has closed the gap down to 5 seconds to Van Winkle, but I don't think it's enough. Van Winkle has been having a series of bad laps here. But there's only 2 more laps to go, maybe 1, but I think 2 more laps to go. We'll have to see when Van Winkle comes across the line. Meanwhile, Scarborough, again, side by side, possibly with Zipperburn Sr. He's close enough that he could try a dive if he wanted to, but he's not going to. Right behind them, Whitlam trying an overtake on the inside of Pellerin, and Pellerin on Whitlam does not happen. Zipperburn Sr. goes way deep into turn 1 or turn 2, whatever that is. Ooh, a little bit of a scary moment there. So the pressure could be getting to all these drivers here up front. Sullivan had a yellow flag moment and he's lost. No, he's still in P4. That is Hooker in P19 that just passed him as a blue flag. So Ian Gilchrist is perfectly safe now in P3. However, Sullivan is now only a second back from Leon is only a second back from Sullivan for P4, but I'm going to continue to watch this battle up here as Scarborough again trying to go side by side with Zipperburn Sr. Very close again to contact through turn 11, I think. But now Whitlam is going to go side by side with Scarborough here through here. No. Looks like he was going to try to, but he was on the wrong area of the track. Whitlam goes a little bit wide, going to maybe let Stefan Pellerin try and overtake, but no. Meanwhile, Marath and Beckstead going side by side. Almost a little bit of a hip check there. It's all going to come down to the braking zone now. Marath gets the pass done before the braking zone, so it doesn't even matter. It's all going to... Oh, no! As Marath goes deep, he goes wide. I don't think it's going to let Beckstead into the picture, but he is close enough that it's possible. Meanwhile, just out front here, Whitlam and Scarborough going side by side. Whitlam getting past Scarborough for the moment. Not quite completed the pass, so it's all going to come down to the braking. Little bit of movement under braking there. Scarborough maybe having a few choice words for Whitlam there in the in his car, but he is doing safe for now. Stefan Pellerin right behind Scarborough, trying to get past. I think Scarborough is just taking a really weird line there through turn 6, excuse me, because of how he's been not quite brake checking, because he's done it the same every single time, but with how he's taking that line, it's slowing the cars behind him enough that Stefan Pellerin has now lost a spot to Brad Marath. And now it is Marath's turn to get to try and do something about the thing. But meanwhile, out front, I'm going to quickly show this because we are on the last lap. We have hit zeros. Van Winkle is going to come across the line to take P1 victory. Bruce Hopkins, not that far behind, is going to take P2 overall. Very nice job there. Stefan Pellerin got back past Brad Morath. Ian Gilchrist is going to come across the line in P3. A lot of bumping here. Sullivan and Leung are really close to each other. I don't think Leung's going to be close enough to try anything. But it's all going to come down to this last corner here. So Sullivan losing time to Leung. It's a drag race to the finish line. Leung has the acceleration, but he does not have the straight line speed, so Sullivan is going to take P4. Very nice job there. So Alan Leung almost taking it away from him. Zipperbrin Sr. doing an amazing job to hold down P6 with a whole bunch of drivers. Oh, there's a wreck. There's a wreck right after the finish. I don't know who finished where. I think it was Whitwam, Scarborough, Pellerin, Morath, Beckstead, Ran, Yang. That was a very momentous end to the race, I will say. I'm going to quickly see if I can replay what happened here at the end with Scarborough, Pellerin, Beckstead, all of them, because that was absolute chaos here. So we're going to watch the last 30-ish seconds of the race, because I think that crash was maybe just for fun, as Morath goes way deep there trying to overtake. Hopefully I get to see the end of this. I have to take a screenshot, so hopefully you guys will be able to see what happens at the end here. Oh, so Whitwam just slowed down massively where you're not supposed to, causing that wreck. But either way, that is that for our race. Van Winkle, Hopkins, Gilchrist, your top three, with Gray, your P14, and silver winner overall. So there we go. That is our race done. I will try and find some of our drivers to interview. Just give me a second. All right. So that was number 640. 647 and 886. All right, but yeah, so that was our race. That was an absolutely crazy race with a whole bunch of action all the way to the end there. I am going to wait to see if Ian Gilchrist gets into the booth, or maybe take Lanu Gray, our silver winner. All right, so Ian Gilchrist, our P3 winner, our P3 sitter, unfortunately will not be able to join us in the booth, as they have a dog to take care of, which is very understandable. But I do see a few drivers who I can pull in. So I see Bruce Hopkins, so I'm going to pull him up here. Actually, no, I'm gonna pull up our silver winner first, if I can pull up the right person. Lanu Gray, welcome to the booth.
Hello.
Hello there. Congratulations on your silver victory. P14 overall, so maybe not the fastest finish, but either way, silver win. You always have to take it. Talk us through your race.
Well, it was kind of awful start to finish. Had connection issues trying to join the server. Ended up only getting one lap in qualifying. Yeah, and then I think I went off the track 3 times, but 2 of them were just entirely of my own volition. The second half of the race was just watching the plus 25 seconds slowly ticked down trying to catch up with the driver in front of me, but yeah, fairly uneventful, but rescued it.
Yeah, we saw your issues. If you watch the stream back, you'll see that you were absolutely ping-ponging through trees, through mountains. It was very eventful to watch and very funny. Unfortunately, you only got the one quali lap in, but you were at least able to recover it in the race and not have any major incidents, at least that I saw, other than going off. So
yeah, it's just the one braking on the grass. Turns out when there's a car in front of you, you can't really see where the edge of the track is.
Makes sense. But yeah, so I believe we saw that on the stream, but I don't exactly remember. But either way, it was really fun to watch, and at least the brief moments that we could view you. Did you have any issues with tire wear through the race, or were you mostly consistent outside of the few small mistakes?
I think it was okay. I would say I did a few 1-hour practice races against the AI, and in general the tires seem to be okay. But I'm pretty new to this game. This is my first season, so I don't really notice the tire wear as much. Like I'm not that in tune with the car yet.
All right. So 2 more quick questions for you. You said you're new to the game. Have you raced at our next week's track of Snetterton?
Nope. So tomorrow will be my first time on that track.
All right, well, good luck with that. It's a very fun track, but it's very tight, so I wish you the best of luck. I remember my first time racing it. It was very iffy. But last question I have for you, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to, teammate, anyone watching in the stream or anyone like that?
I would actually like to shout out Quinn Jetta. We have jokingly called each other rivals after our crash in Barcelona. And we had a pretty good battle back and forth last week in Zolder, so it was sad not to spend much time battling on track this week, but yeah, I think the two of us have a decent competition sometimes.
All right. Well, like I said before, congratulations on your silver win. Hopefully next time you're able to not have so many connection issues, but either way, we hope to see you up again in the booth next time.
Nice, thank you very much.
All right, I will send you back down to your race review. All right, so that was New Gray, our silver winner. I will pull up Bruce Hopkins, our P2 finisher. Bruce Hopkins, welcome to the booth.
Oh, hello. Thank you.
So, P2 finish after a P1 finish last week, if I remember correctly. You're on a good run so far. Go ahead and talk us through your race and how it went.
Oh, it was a sweaty race. There was a lot of work at the front. The guys were fast. It was tight racing. Really good. I think I may have tapped a guy, Beckenstead, in the chicane there. Just he went off the curb and just a little slower, and I got in front of him there. I looked down and I go, I didn't touch him, did I? It said 0.3 of a second of damage. Okay. But that was it. That was the only touches from then. Then it was Gilchrist and Sullivan. We were just neck and neck the whole time. And then Joey there, he ran away from us there. He just gapped us all there. It was nothing, but it was a great race with Gilchrist and Sullivan. Just that we were all really same pace.
Yeah, you were back and forth with Ian Gilchrist the whole race. You got past Sullivan, if I remember correctly, because Sullivan went off the track. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but when you saw him, when you realized that you were passing him, were you like, maybe I have a shot for the win, or did you just think it was, or like, because you were fast toward the end of the race, but did you think you maybe had a chance to get up there if you got around him sooner?
Not for the win, but I was thinking maybe second place, because Joey Van Winkle, he was gone. He was so far out in front, and I was looking at his lap times, and I worked down faster later, but the first stint I wasn't anywhere near. I was just hoping to hang on with these three and maybe come up with second, which is what I ended up doing. But even that was back and forth, because Ian Gilchrist got by me after the pit, and we raced behind for the longest time. And then I just took advantage of little mistakes. Like you said, Sullivan going off, Gilchrist a couple times went off in the same spot, but I couldn't get around him in Tosa. And then the one time he got a bad exit out of the Ravazza there, and my car had a lot more down the straight, and that was the only time I could stick it in there. And then I pulled away after that.
All right, well, happy to hear that. But yeah, so I don't know how new to the ACC and racing in general, but have you ever raced at our next week track of Snetterton?
Yeah, but it's been so long since I've raced Snetterton. I'm going to have to reintroduce myself to that one. No one puts that on the schedule that we race anymore. So it's probably, could be 2 years since I've raced it.
Yeah, I know that in SRA we raced there, I think about 3 seasons ago, because that was the last race that I did before I got promoted to from D5 to D4. So hopefully you have a good time reintroducing yourself to it. If I remember correctly, it's variable conditions, so it might be rainy, it might not be, but I could be wrong on that. So hopefully it goes well for you. Last question I have, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to, like a teammate or someone like that?
Well, not necessarily a teammate, but I would like to, say congratulations to Joey for winning that, and the other two, Ian and Shane, for a great battle. It was just so much fun racing with those guys, and congratulations, Ian, on the podium behind me there. And it was just, like I said, great racing with guys that were similar pace, and everyone really clean with it. I enjoyed it.
All right, glad to hear that. So again, this is Bruce Hopkins, who finished P2 overall, looking to be a strong contender for the Gold Championship as we move on through the series. But I will go ahead and send you back down to race review, and good luck next week.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You too. All right, so that was our P2 finisher in Hopkins, and I will quickly pull up Joey Van Winkle, our winner. Joey Van Winkle, welcome to the booth.
Hello.
Congratulations on your P1 finish. You had a dominant race the entire time. You were neck and neck with your teammate in qualifying, but you just ran away with it in the race. So go ahead and tell us about how it all went.
Well, I mean, it started yesterday. I was practicing. There was a D2 driver that was spectating me and sent me a private message, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go faster?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And now we're here, so I got to thank him for that. That was Wheezy out of D2. I didn't put enough fuel in the car, so I was lifting and coasting for the last 20 minutes. It was extremely stressful, especially with Bruce closing that gap very, very quickly. I was trying to do math in my head to see if I had enough so that I could put the hammer down. And when I crossed the finish line on that last lap, it said 1 lap remaining. I was like, oh, we're good.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm curious, how much fuel did you have in the car at the very end of the race? Did you pay attention to that, or?
I had 0.7 of a lap left.
Wow, so very close on your that. Yeah, so
yeah, it was tight.
Yeah, so very nice job there. I would say it was about perfect, because obviously you won. You were losing a lot of time in there in the closing seconds, but
I was like I said, for the last 20 minutes I was lifting and coasting a lot. I was maybe giving it 85% throttle. If I tried to keep my pace the entire race, I would have ran out of fuel with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, that would have not been fun. So I will say, amazing job on your lift and coast and your preservation of that race wing, because that's insane. Lifting and coasting for so long and ending with that little fuel. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
job.
It was rough.
Yeah. So you said you were doing really good in qualifying. You were, of course, like, you started side by side with your teammate on the grid. Were you in voice chat at all with him to talk about race strategy at all, or just to make sure that you didn't run into each other while you were starting, or any
Sent
of that?
a couple messages before, because we were stoked that we closed out a BMW front row. And then we talked about strategy a little bit. I've never started a race on the front row, and the way the green lights hit you, or like tell you to get ready and whatnot before that it's about to go green, kind of took me by surprise. I punched it there, then slammed on the brakes because I realized that wasn't the start. And when the green lights actually hit, he had the better drop off of me, and then starting that race with ice cold tires was brutal.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I know that in some of the yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I just said we came back.
All right, yeah. So either way, amazing job. I know that to deal with the cold tire situation, some of the D2 and D1 drivers like myself are almost closing our brake ducts to essentially cook them, just to hope that the tires were staying at the correct temperature. I don't know if you messed with that at all, but it was the tires are absolutely frigid during this race. So
I actually ran my ducts at 1, and during the race my tire temps were perfect. It was just getting them to temp was tricky.
Yeah, very understandable. All right, so 2 more quick questions for you that I've been asking everyone. So next week we are at Snetterton. How confident are you at that racetrack?
I've never driven it, so.
All right. Well,
but
you were definitely not alone.
At the same time, I haven't driven Imola before this week.
Well, I think you'll be fine. Maybe go find Wheezy again and have him give you some pointers.
That is the plan.
All right. And then last question, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to? A teammate or someone watching?
I mean, got to give him a shout out to my teammate, Shane. He hit me up and was talking about strategy rather than just going in and saying, hey, race, let's you know. My fiance's watching, and my another buddy up in D2, he's also watching, Rusco.
All right.
So, gotta give all of them the love.
All right. We always love that. And your teammate served as a wonderful rear guard for you for that first stint, so
he did.
Gotta be happy with that.
Quite a buffer from him.
Yeah. But either way, congratulations on your race win. Hope to see you up again here in the future, but I will go ahead and send you back down to a race review.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So that is it for our interviews for the night. That was our round 5 at Imola. We are over halfway through the season now. Next week we will be at Snetterton, as I have been alluding to. It's a very fast track. However, it's a very tight track, so any side-by-side battles are so iffy that you can't really... They're not extended side-by-side battles unless you're gods at side-by-side racing, and I am not. So I don't know if any of our drivers are here today, but I guess we'll have to see. As my game crashed. That is interesting. I hope I saved the replay. Anywho, but that was our our Imola Division 5 Race 5 for Season 17. If you would like to watch more racing, D1 and D3 on YouTube have finished, or at least are close to finishing their races, so you can go watch those back, or you can come back tomorrow and watch D2, where I will be racing, or D4, where Sean will be racing. D2 is on Twitch and YouTube, and D4 is only on YouTube, so be sure to watch that, or just come back next week and watch us all race in D5 again. But my name is Trey Morgan. Oop, that's the wrong button again. My name is Trey Morgan. I have had a wonderful time watching D5. I hope you all have a wonderful night and had a fun time watching it with me. Thanks, and have a good night.
When I was just a new driver, I asked Coach Jeffries, what will I be? Will I be speedy? Will I crash out? Here's what he said to me, SRA, your division will be what it be. SRA is a mystery. Hey, SRA. of a settings. Be cool.